Oh hey, I'm Eric with Gardens of Babylon. Let's go check out this pool project. So this was one of my favorite pool projects this year, and the reason is we had some very unique challenges to deal with. But through some creative problem solving, we were able to turn this into a really beautiful, elegant space that the entire family can use. What we're going to do is take a look at some of the challenges that the site posed to us in the beginning, and then more importantly, how we overcame some of those challenges as we went along. One of the first things that we'll look at here is the constraints of the space. So one thing that's really interesting about this particular property is it's situated as part of a cul-de-sac. What that means is that you have very strange property lines that meet at an angle in the back of the property. And then it's like, well, how do you take a large irregular shape like a pool and make that work within a very strangely shaped space? In addition to that, one thing that we were looking at was a slope, a cross slope that started from the top side of the yard and then worked its way down to the bottom of the yard. And it was interesting because we had roughly a 42-inch difference in elevation from the top to the bottom. If I'm building a pool, one thing that I want to think about is that water always seats level. So if I put a large level surface on an area with a slope, I've got to think about ways that I can overcome that. Most of the times we've done with a retaining wall. In this case, we split it. The thing about a 42-inch tall retaining wall, especially if you have kids, is the fall hazard. Or if I'm walking around the pool, do I stand and fall off of this? So what we did was we got creative and we said, okay, can we have, instead of one big wall, two small walls? A couple of retaining walls on the top side, which double as seat walls, and then on the lower side, we've got this wall to help offset the difference. A little bit about the value of precision in what we do. So when it comes to a project like this, there's a lot of moving pieces, and what we want to do is make sure that all the pieces work together to overcome the obstacles. So in this case here, what we had to do is really think through those elevations and say, okay, how do we make all these things work together so that at the end of the day, you're getting a really functional space that's beautiful at the same time that helps you overcome the problems that you saw before. So for example, here, we were thinking about how do we get the client from their existing porch down to the pool itself. And the way that we were able to do that was by using the series of retaining walls to offset the difference in elevation. And then we decided to also create a really nice prominent entry into the main pool itself, which will serve as a kind of a main landing. And then you'll have a really beautiful grand steps leading down to the pool itself. So one of the really interesting things about this project was that the pool was a liner pool, which means that the shape was predetermined. So from our perspective, what we had to think about is how do we create a hardscape that complements the shape of the pool? So one thing that the homeowner requested was an area in which they could have a fire pit. The second was we wanted to have a dining area out here. How do we expand on the existing footprint to accomplish both of those goals? So looking at this plan, this is a really cool design here, and it integrates a lot of different features based on the homeowner's original requests. So we've got a series of landings in here that lead you down to the main pool area. We've got a main staircase that meets the pool entrance, which really helps to accentuate that nicely. We've got a series of retaining walls here that not only complement the poolscape, but also serve kind of a dual purposes like a retaining wall / seat wall if you're looking for additional seating. We had a couple of really beautiful trees too that the homeowner wanted to keep if possible. So we were able to orient the design such that the trees could stay. And then we've also got an amazing fire pit area that complements the dining area that we created on the opposing side. So it becomes a multi-use space. And then finally, we've topped it all off with a series of landscape lights to make this space that's not only usable during the day, but also at night.